Razer's back with a very sleek and simple ambidextrous design, and all of my concerns were answered after I used it. Good afternoon, welcome to Tubro Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece variety, a Wooks Triple XL, and I'm very pleased to bring you another Razer review. I found as of like the last 2 years that they've generally had some of the best build quality around, if not the best, of the mouse products that I've used, and I'm steadily becoming more and more a fan of this brand. Perhaps I'll get one of them in the near future. Unfortunately, it won't be this one because it's made for people with a much smaller hand, which is just about everybody. I'm a 184 centimeter, so just over 6 foot mongoloid at 90 kilograms with 20 centimeter hands. I need something just a little bit bigger, like their Viper as a great example. But this has been made specifically for people with a small hand, which is the majority of you out there in the world. So yeah, this one, like I said, I had a couple of concerns, but after I used this sucker, I was just like kind of blown away at how good and stuff the performance was, because the build quality is not up for question. Anyhow, let's go through what's in the box. So you obviously get a mouse inside of a nice box, but what you also get is a very nice manual, and I particularly like the way they finish the package with this really nice rubberized tie, and then the USB cap that sits on top of there. You obviously get a sticker along with that as well, so it just completes that Razer product vibe that you generally get. Now, the active price bracket for this is very, very contested, and there are a lot of mice that have technically better sensors. So I was a little bit worried when I took this out of box, it being 8500 DPI, but that's not really the thing that I was concerned about. It was the 35G acceleration and the 300 IPS, which I assumed was not really going to be all that amazing in performance, but it was exceptional. It performed exactly the same as my Pixar 3389s or my SteelSeries TrueMove Pro mouse. I've got a bit of a problem, and I usually have like about 4 on hand. At the moment, I've only got 2.5, so I'm doing quite well, but I love the mouse. I think it's the most personal thing you can use in general, and so this, with its very nice general purpose kind of shape, was very appealing. Even when I did the Cobra Pro, I absolutely fell in love with it. I saw a lot of people didn't really like that review or agree with what I had to say then. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But build quality wise, like I say, the Razer is just kind of untouchable for me in this day and age. This whole mouse is 58 grams without a single hole drilled into it, so it's got a full body design, and the plastics and stuff in this feel really robust and sturdy. Even if we look at it from the front, you can see it's quite thick, the plastic that's going for these 2 switches on our side, for these 2 buttons like that. It's actually pretty damn thick, and if you look around the left hand side, you're going to see it's nicely polished and mirror finished like that, with those 2 thumb buttons being in pretty much the perfect position. If you look on the right hand side, you're just going to see a bit of curve and more of that separation to get that look and feel, and around the base you've got this glow lighting kind of effect, and then obviously on the tail you've got the Razer logo, which also lights up. Around the front, you're going to see 2 really nice indented curved kind of spaces over there, and then obviously that quite broad scroll wheel, which has a rubberized type finish, a textured finish on it, so it feels pretty damn good. The click on it is also pretty good. It's actually not that hollow, which is something that a lot of the mice that I've tested and used do feel, that click, it kind of feels like it's hard to hold it in, which is something that I use extensively while playing Tarkov. When you run across a gap, you want to turn your head to look at that gap while you're traversing it at a perpendicular angle to make yourself harder to shoot, and so that you can get information during. So I use it actually quite a lot while I'm gaming. So it's important for me to have a good scroll. And then behind that, you've got the really nice big single DPI switching button on the top. So the overall construction and build, you can see from the close-ups, it feels incredibly good. The cable as well is also super light and flexible. You basically don't even notice that it's there. And like I said, this thing's 58 grams. My daily drive is 59, so it felt very much at home on the weight and such. Around the bottom, you're going to notice just a 2 large feet design with a sensor hole cover, which is like kind of important with this sort of setup, because sometimes that hole can then drag and scratch on your mouse pad. And these are 100% PTFEs, so they are of, as you can see, the very super glidey nature. So in the construction, everything outwardly felt really good. It was more the internal components that I was a little bit worried about. First one was their buttons, which do have a very different feel. You'll hear they're not quite as crisp as the old Omrons. They do sound like a little bit hollow. You don't really get too much of body click. You can hear when I was clicking. It's only when I absolutely slam it that then the plastic makes contact with the body on top. So it's not really an issue, but it does give a 0D bounce, and it's very, very responsive. It was just how they felt, not how they performed. That was a little bit weird at first, and then like after 10 minutes, you don't even notice. So very good job from that facet. The other thing that I was a little bit worried about was the sensor. When I see mouse at 30G acceleration and like sub 200 RPS, I almost guarantee that at some point on one of the flicks that I do, it's going to skip out and it's not going to react to my inputs. And I was a little bit worried that this was like on the cusp of some of the older mouse and sensors that I had been able to skip out. But I wasn't able to do that at all. 300 RPS and 35G, it never skipped once. So the tracking performance was very, very good, considering it's like a more entry-level sensor. 8500 DPI, I think is going to be good for most of us that are shopping in this bracket. We're probably going to scale off what, 4800 and 1600. I don't think a lot of us are going to be gaming on 4K with this. But even then, if you wanted to do 2000 plus, you're going to be just fine. It didn't really give any sensor jitter when I did have it on the higher sensors. It didn't jitter. By jitter, I mean like it didn't skip left and right or anything like that. So it can do its full DPI, but I scale of 400 because I'm very old, and that's what I grew up with. Where I was already a man by the time I saw a 1600 DPI mouse kind of effect. So overall, very good still. I fell in love with the Razer Cobra Pro, and I saw a lot of people didn't really kind of agree with that review, which is something that was interesting to me because the build quality on these is just unrivaled. And that's got the same kind of internals as the very well-received Death Adder V3. So I thought it would be a lot in the same vein. Maybe there's something I missed there that you guys can let me know about in the comments down below. However, that is all I have for you on this Razer Cobra. It does perform very well, and the price bracket, it's pretty good at 1,100 Rand. It's not the most amazing price I've seen for a mouse of this build and spec, but the weight, I mean, it's an esports ready kind of product. I don't think, look, if you're going to the tippy tops of FPS gaming, maybe look at Dark, something with a better sensor. Everything else was good though, and like I say, I couldn't get that sensor to skip out. So while on paper those performance stats don't look that impressive, in practice, it was actually pretty good. Anyway, like I said, that's all I've got for you on the Razer Cobra. If you have enjoyed this, please hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.